Hey, what's up, everybody? Pat here, great for recovering alcoholic and addict, just like every day. Guys, please don't forget to subscribe, leave the video a like, drop me a comment, and by all means share it with anybody that might get something out of it. Other than that, we're just going to get into it, guys. The reading today is titled Bend with the Wind. Bend with the wind. We learn to become flexible. As new things are revealed, we feel renewed. Flexibility was not a part of the vocabulary we use in our using days. We'd become obsessed with the raw pleasure of our drugs and hardened to all the softer, subtler, more infinitely varied pleasures of the world around us. Our disease had turned life itself into a constant threat of jails, institutions, and death, a threat against which we hardened ourselves all the more. In the end, we became brittle. With the slightest breath of wind, we crumbled. At last, broken, defeated, with no choice but to surrender. But the beautiful irony in recovery is that in our surrender, we found the flexibility we had lost in addiction, the very lack of which had defeated us and deserted us. We regained the ability to bend in life's breeze without breaking. When the wind blew, we felt its loving caress against our skin, where we once would have hardened ourselves as if against the onrush of a storm. The winds of life blow new airs in our way each moment, and with them new fragrances, new pleasures, each varied subtly different. As we bend with life's wind, we feel and hear and touch and smell and taste all it has to offer us. And as new winds blow, we feel renewed. And then the affirmation is just higher power, just for today, higher power, help me bend with life's wind and glory in its passing. Free me from rigidity. And yeah, I mean, guys, I love these readings. I love doing these every day. They're great reminders. And it's really, really nice to look at the differences. And that's what I really like about this reading is they show me the differences, anything that I may overlook in my new life as compared to my old. Because the more we focus on the beauty of the new life that we're living, the more we embrace it and the more we can expand alongside it. And that's huge, guys. I love my recovery, guys. I am the most pro-recovery. I mean, who wouldn't be pro-recovery? I would certainly hope anyway. But guys, I am so bought into this new life because it is rewarding me amazingly. And I don't mean, it is monetarily, financially, and that stuff's important, guys. I tend to shy away because it's not what my main focus needs to be, because I've always had the ability to make money. I was holding on to it and doing anything positive with it that I had no ability to do whatsoever. Today, that's different. I'm saving my money, guys. I'm actually in a position to stop buying property soon. Like, I talk about this constantly because that's my life's direction. I understand that I'm 52 years old, and up until 8 months ago, I didn't have, a pot to piss in or a window to throw it out of, right? But today, I've got opportunities to start buying properties within the next year. Guys, it's amazing. Like, I actually know, and that's the reason, guys. And the thing is, right? Once I gave myself a future, once I gave myself a chance to believe I could actually have a future, I started looking at other areas of my life saying, okay, well, look, I'm getting beat up. I haven't been taking care of myself. If I have the opportunity to build something that will sustain long term, I want to be here to enjoy it. I want to be able to enjoy it. So I started working out. I started eating better. I started going to my doctors, everything, just taking care of my body physically, mentally, and spiritually. And again, as a result of taking those actions, things around me started getting so much better. So now I'm stepping up in other areas, and that's the key, guys. The reason I'm doing so well is not any one thing that I've done. It's the culmination of all these things. And again, I'm going to go right back to my new favorite term, intentionality. I'm very intentional about paying attention to everything around me. And it all starts and ends with me. I help a lot of other people out there, and I love that about myself today, guys. The biggest problem that I had with trying to get recovery is that I didn't believe in myself. I didn't give myself any value. If you don't value something, you're not going to take care of it, right? And it's a shame that I can say that, but it's how I've lived for many, many years, guys. I was so misguided as a child, and again, this is ridiculous because I'm 52 years old, and I'm not blaming and I'm not putting excuses out there. I'm just explaining how I got to where I was. Because of the way I grew up, I had so much internal anger, and I had so much insecurity because I didn't have any guidance. I didn't have any parents, and I wanted to keep people from looking at that and offering in. I just didn't know shit, honestly. So what I did was I acted out. I acted like the craziest son of a bitch because I didn't want anybody looking too closely. And that's the thing. I did a really good job at it, right? People were terrified of me, and they didn't ask too many questions. And they either I sold a lot of drugs, so a lot of people hung out with that. I threw a lot of keg parties, so people, everybody was my acquaintance. I was the life of the party, so everybody loved me. But very few knew the details behind the scenes because they were sketchy as hell. Now the problem with that is I started building this make believe persona that I then had to live up to. So as I started to live up to that make believe persona, I started getting arrested and started getting in trouble, and I was just always constantly doing something stupid and just getting and so that started to catch up with me. And I did some good along the way. I managed to graduate high school. I went to college, graduated top of my class, and best school in the country, auto and diesel mechanics. So I'm like, okay, great, I've done something. But then literally, guys, I came home. I know I left to go to college with like 4 warrants out of 3 different counties. Came home and had to deal with all that, and then picked up another OUI like within a month of getting home because the cops were looking for me. I hadn't done enough to change and take care of the wreckage of my past. So again, instead of wrapping that up and just paying attention and stopping the drinking, because I was still underage, guys. I was like, God, 19 years old with 2 OUIs and just, not good, right? Not good. It just kept piling up and piling up because, again, I didn't understand. Like, my mentality at the time was, oh, well, I just got out of college. I just, got this great job at a BMW dealership. I have to drive. Yet I had an OUI and they took my license away. So I'm doing all these stupid things and constantly getting in trouble for driving. Guys, I just carried on and carried on and carried on. Like I would make different changes. It got to the point where my record was so bad, no company would hire me. So I opened my own shop because I was the best mechanic around. Yet I was unemployable. So I was working out of my garage at my house until I was able to rent a garage. And again, did that to a shady prick who ended up screwing me in the end because I gave him the opportunity to do so. I literally for 4 or 5 years watched this guy screw everybody he came into contact with. Yet I thought I'd be different because I was providing such a service to him that it was worth his time not to screw me. Well, the minute something else happened, that he lost his car dealer license in the same city, so we had to move to like 5 cities away. Now it's a pain in the ass. I'm no longer convenient. Boom, he screwed me, right? Again, my own fault. I should have seen it coming, but never mind that. I was making good money then too, but I would piss away all my resources, so when the shit would hit the fan, I had nothing to fight it with. Guys, it got to the point where I was running an auto repair business. Bellingham police, 2 particular cops found out I didn't have a license. They would arrest me constantly. Now I'm spending 3 to 6 months out of the year in jail. My shop's only open half the fucking year. And I thought they could sustain. It was the insanity of the disease, the things we put ourselves through, and then the rigidity of us deciding what we have to follow and what we don't, and what thinking what we can manipulate and what we can't is literally the definition of insanity. I had become so rigid because I didn't want anybody looking at certain things in my life, and I was just living sideways. I worked so freaking hard to get absolutely nowhere. Eventually, it just got to the point where, I quit drinking, things got a little bit better, but I got bad into the cocaine and then smoking cocaine. And again, I would fight and fight and fight, and I would just, I can't even say keep things together because it was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. But then I got into a car accident and got introduced to opiates. Forget it, guys. It was lights out. Within a year, I ended up leaving town. My shop got broken into. All my tools got stolen. I had nowhere to live. Nobody would open their door to me because I was just running amok, and I had a terrible reputation at that point. I was just doing so many stupid things. Nobody wanted anything to do with me. I literally had gotten out of jail. I'd been bouncing around. It was the night before Thanksgiving. It was gonna be something like 15 degrees out. And my brother, my mother, my sister all turned their back on me. They wouldn't open their door to me for one night. I had a warrant out. I wanted to spend Thanksgiving with family and then go turn myself in. But they knew I was an absolute mess and hooked on bad drugs, and they didn't. So rather than throwing in the towel and seeing that it was time to surrender in that, I left. I went, turned myself in, got myself into a halfway house. And the day I left the halfway house, I relapsed. I ended up living on the streets because I refused to go and ask for help from my family. I was so angry at that point that, guys, I spent the next 3.5 years living on the fucking street. Like, and then I started using needles, and things got really bad. And thankfully, at the end of that little run, I did turn myself in because I knew I needed help, guys. That was bad. I was like 110 pounds, meth, heroin, just crack. Like, oh, it was bad. I hadn't lived indoors in years. That's when I first came. When I get out of that one, I got into a halfway house. I graduated, completed, got to Somerville here, and but again, I get out and I wasn't working a spiritual program. So all the work I did, putting myself in jail for 6 months, I literally had asked the judge to keep me in jail for 6 months because I knew I needed it. Another 4 months in holding, and then 6 months in a halfway house, and I still only had like 10, 11 months of sobriety. And I relapsed. Got an apartment, got on my own, met who ended up being my future wife, and with her drinking drive me crazy. I was relapsing but getting sober, relapsing, getting sober, and before long, the madness of it all led me right back to heroin. Next 7 years, I was fighting the heroin until this recovery now. This time around, guys, I understood I needed to fully surrender. I needed to let go of all the rigidity of me deciding what I wanted to save and what I was willing to do. I had to let that all go. I had to become immensely flexible, open to taking suggestions, and every single suggestion. And here's what I did, guys. I promised myself I will take every suggestion. I will try it. If it doesn't apply and it doesn't work, I can let it go. But how will I know if it's not what I need unless I try it? Because again, guys, the IOP thing, the intensive outpatient treatment, seemed like the most ridiculous thing I'd ever heard in my life until this time around, because I had willingness and I had honest, open-minded introspectiveness to say, okay, what is it that's going to actually help me here? What's going to actually change my life? Because I needed to change. I knew if I went back out again, I was going to die. In the last 10 years, I watched 30, 40 people get a couple months of clean time and go back out and die immediately. And I knew the way I used, that's all that's waiting for me out there, guys. Jails and institutions, I got those down. I even got death down. I've died a couple times of overdose, but you can only play that game so many times until it's just you're not going to come back. That's all that's waiting for me out there, and I know that today. And I'm so incredibly grateful to know that today. But not only that, but I have the flexibility in all areas of my life. I literally, with all the barriers that I put in front of myself between courts and licenses and this and that and the other, none of that. I found the flexibility and the willingness to do what it takes to get things done. I've had to take a lot of extra steps to get to where I am today that other people may not have. But again, I don't piss and moan. Those are things that I created so that I have to solve. And every time I do, I learn something which propels me further. That is why I'm doing well today, guys. Because I'm not cutting corners. I'm not being rigid in what I will and won't do. I have complete surrender. I have complete willingness, and I'm happy, and I've got immense gratitude for the opportunities, because very few people that made it as far as I have turn around and then start fresh, are given a completely clean slate, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. To stop, I had a few $1,000s I had to pay back, and that's nothing, guys. It's a drop in the well. I've got 10 times that in the bank now. It's amazing, and I'm just getting started. But the beauty of it, guys, that's why I do the totality of everything I do. Because I understood that's what I needed. And I'm sure there's still more. And every time I find and think of something, I still take suggestions and I still apply them to my life. And I give them a shot. And if it doesn't work for me, I pass it on to somebody else or try and share the resource with somebody else. And I take what's best for me. And I'm not afraid to say no today. But I don't say no until after I give it an honest, fair shot. And say, okay, listen, I appreciate it. Let me find somebody that this might work for better than me. This is not something I need today, because I don't need intense treatment now. I'm starting to build my life. I need to focus more. Now what I need to start focus on, honestly, is the social life, because I absolutely love my life and I'm doing so incredibly well. It's time to start sharing with people around me and opening up now that I'm stabilized. That's the thing, guys. But I took the time to get my stability underneath me. I still don't quite have a year yet, but it's coming quick. In another couple weeks, I'll have my 9-month chip. Guys, when I get through this coming winter, this next spring, I'll have over a year, providing I continue to work my program. And I'll just open that up into the next area of my life. And that's the difference today, guys. I retain the willingness. I retain the flexibility to pivot And when this is a huge thing. This is why a big part of why I'm doing better today. In the past, I'd pick a direction and I would just drop my head and bowl my way through, no matter how many times or no matter how many signs I'm seeing that are telling me bad idea, turn around. But I didn't want to eat crow and have to admit that I was wrong. So I would just keep bulldozing my way into places I had no business being. Today I don't do that. I stop. I digest. I try to be introspective and play the tape through and see where is this going to lead, what may come of this. If it makes sense, I continue in that direction. If it doesn't, I turn around. I pivot. And if I have to say, hey, I was wrong, okay, guess what? I just learned something. I started this direction. You know what? That's not for me. I don't like where it's leading. I know this isn't going to work out well for me. I stop because I matter today. The two most important relationships I have are that with my higher power and that with myself. And if you do that, guys, and you do that to the best of your ability and you do so honestly, you pay attention to what you're doing, and even if you start down the wrong road, that's okay. We all do. But stop. Pivot. Admit you weren't right. Admit you didn't know everything, and turn around. Do so in the nicest way possible. Try not to step on any toes, but at the end of the day, if somebody's trying to get you to do something that's not good for you, then step on those toes, because those toes need to be stepped on. You might just save their life, and you'll certainly save yours. Guys, you got to put yourself first, but you got to do so in the nicest, kindest way possible, and you try to help as many around you. When you find yourself stepping into some place you shouldn't be, backtrack. There's no shame in that. The shame is knowing you're going in the wrong direction and continuing to go there. That's shameful, okay? And even then, when you figure it out, turn around. It doesn't matter if it's shameful or not. If you get to a point, then just stop. That's the most important thing I've learned, guys, is it's okay to stop. You don't have to do everything everybody wants you to do. You don't have to do anything that's not for your highest good. And if you're willing to stand up for yourself, then you'll get stronger, and then you'll get better opportunities. Sometimes I say no to things that I know are good for me because I believe I deserve better or I'm capable of better. Even though they're positive things, I think my time could be spent better somewhere else, so I'm waiting for this opportunity. But I'm not just waiting, I'm working. I'm researching and finding out what can I do to align myself with what it is that I want. Guys, and it's beautiful, right? I could have invested in a couple things already, and they might have been okay, but instead I'm taking the long road. I'm going to invest for another 6 months. I'm going to save for another 6 months before I start investing. And I'll have that much more of an egg to put down, which means I'll get that much more of a return on investment, which will allow me to fast track myself into actually buying $1 million property within the next 18 to 24 months. That's my plan, and I'm sticking to it, and it's absolutely amazing today, guys. The fact that it's actually getting there. And then here's just to share a little bit, guys. On top of that, I know my credit when I started this little run was down at 512. I've taken action steps without throwing money away, but like Kickoff has got a loan program where it's actually a savings account. I just got my money back on that for my first year, so I proved they're legit. I saved a couple $100 with Kickoff by making monthly payments, and I've already brought my credit up to 660. Still not great, but from 512, it's pretty goddamn good for not, paying a whole bunch of money to fix my credit, just doing things right. And now that I've got fair credit, I start taking on Bank of America credit building credit cards so I can get myself up into the 700s. I've got another year or so, a year and a half, to go from 660 up to 800. So when I go to buy that property, I'll have an 800 credit rating and I'll get a good rate. Because even if I get approved for a loan, I don't want a loan that's 8, 9, 10%. I want a loan that's 3, 4, 5%. It makes all the difference on whether or not that rental property will be profitable or not. And these are all things I've learned in the last 8 months, because none of that I would have thought applied. But it's the details, guys. It's paying attention. It's being introspective. It's doing the right thing for the right reason and enjoying the results. Guys, video is getting a little long. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on that last tangent, but I think it's important. Pay attention, guys. Be flexible. Look for what's good in life and then chase after it. All guys, I would thank you so much for being here. Always remember, God loves you. I love you. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one.